Hey, what's up, guys? I'm back. This is my Deku 2 list that I played for the Online National. So what we're going to basically do is, you can think it's like a deck profile. I'm going to go over my deck, the cards, the numbers of it, my matchup, my experience with it, and just overall what I thought of how I played in my deck. So overall, the list is pretty similar to what I had before for like set 2 one, my set 2 deck list. But obviously with the new additions of cards, we have to change some things up. So first, we're going to go over the attacks. As you can see, the biggest, craziest like new inclusions is the 4-2 check of Tetsu Thrashing. Look at that, beautiful. And 1 of the wind-up punch. Is that what this? Yeah, this is what it is. Now, a lot of people have been playing this at like 4 or just maximum because it's great and powerful. But I was right in only calling it out of 1 of, and I only have the 1 leaping right hook because it's kind of like a mini this with its deadlock ability. But anyway, back to leaping right hook. It's really good, really powerful, but a lot of time, because I faced a lot of just straight aggro decks where they played 4-5 foundations on their first turn, and they just tried to immediately go for the kill. And even then, they would play to like 8 or 9, not go into deadlock. And so this just would not come up as often. And I was right, because a lot of time I would open this up, especially like early game, when they have 4 or like none, essentially, and it was just a dead card to me. So while this card is really great, Back Alley's little brother, Back Alley is still just better, so I like this at the 1 of. If we ever get back to the more defensive type of meta without like Kiri 2s, Asuis, and the bird running around, I can definitely see this being better, but until then, I'm not feeling the same way. Same with the 1 leaping right hook, but that was whatever. And then we get back to over here, the heroic strike and setup. Originally, I was running 2 strikes. I do think that's good, because it lets you just commit your opponent out so they can take all the damage. I kind of liked throwing this in just as a mix-up. This new set, new cards, I'm just trying to try things out. I did kind of like the inclusion of setup because it gives your moves speed so they can hit, as well it makes them worry and commit more cards to the next thing, since you're giving just speed to something, they have to worry about that one definitely hitting them. So I do like the inclusion of this. And then these 2 cards are really good. Chop, I was opening up for 2 of like a lot of the time in my hand, and it just was like turn 1 or 2, and I just did not like seeing that. I might cut this eventually for maybe 2 more strikes, or like another strike in 1 of those, just for those 2 cards. But this card's also still good. It's good for destroying their hand and just damage because it's off zone. Only low attack in the deck, so neat. As well the Breaker 2, and it resets our small numbers. And same with Jab, but Jab is just instant 4 of. It's great. I don't need to talk about that. Might get banned because of Kiri 2, but that's a whole other thing. The new card, new kid on the block, Tetsu Thrashing. It's a 2 check. Now, I didn't get to do a whole lot of playtesting with this deck just because of life and things like that. And so, at least in those few games, the 2 check wasn't that bad. Especially since I'm Midoriya 2, I build a whole lot. I can commit normally an extra foundation and not really worry about it too much. And this was true for the most part. But this thing did really come up when it really counted. So, am I thinking about cutting it? Very little, but I also just really like the card because it's pretty cool being able to go for like, oh, I have this 1 attack in hand. Actually, I have 3 or 4. As well, it becomes like a 3 diff because you can build a card and has all things. We can boost it with a small number because it's a Fury. As well, it's the mid. A lot of our best cards are mid. Jab, that, Wind Up, and Back Alley. As well, you have the 3 or 4 other copies of itself. So it's one of those things where it kind of overloads the zone. I never run into Aizawa's, even though my best friend plays Aizawa, and that is a terrible matchup. But I think that's the one really bad matchup that Midoriya 2 has because of strictly because of the attacks we play. But this card was good, but also bad, but that makes sense. The 2 check. You win as many games as you lose because of the 2 check. And so the only cards I would really think about taking out are probably Chop, because I just was opening it up too often. But I love Tetsu Thrashing. When you get a string of Tetsu Thrashing, it's the best feeling in the world. That's the attack lineup. Pretty solid, pretty amazing. And now we're going to go to the foundations. So I pumped up, obviously, new training method. I don't know why I'm saying hot. New training method up to 4. Because we have a 2 check. I want to be able to at least play 2 cards, or build at least 3 cards on my turn still. So I play a 2, play a 1 on a 2. And then even if I fail the next one because I checked a Thrashing, new training method saves my life a little bit there. And it definitely did. It was definitely doing its job. But there were also a lot of times, a lot of turns where I just would not open with this. And so that's just a little bit luck of the draw, and just that just happens. as well, there was a game against a Denki where if this was this was a life or death during our last round at time as well. If this was a 5, I won because I literally was just off on my block by 1. So as well, we have a lot of we have 8 4 checks and then we have 4 2 checks. I might have to look at getting rid of small number or this, simply just because of checking that 4 really screwed me up because that round was a very close round. I won the first game. I think he won second, or vice versa, and that really bugged me. But at the same time, these are the rules. Them's the rules. And I still have 2 pull no punches. I was hoping, obviously, to deadlock, threaten deadlock, make people use it, whatever. As well, maybe momentum for back alley, or why not? Because it's got underneath the powerful 3, or setup strike, make it fast as well. That never happened, and a lot of the time it was just not a very good card. Especially with the addition of the 2 check now, I'm probably gonna take this out of the deck and put it in the side for those matchups that are more defensive, and just hope for the best. Even though this is like such an amazing card. But take that out. These are all pretty good. This is obviously good for stringing. This is just one of the best 0 dips in the game. And small number. This never tilted me like this did with the 4 check. But as well, a lot of time it was either I got like 3 these out on a turn thanks to Midoriya and just seeing them, or other times I just wouldn't see any of them. I'd see one and then I wouldn't see the others. And that just happens. But this card is still really good. It works amazing. Although because I'm taking out Chop, potentially, this is also on the chopping block for Chop. As well, it only, it boosts that, it boosts that, it boosts that, and then that. So it only boosts a few cards, which is good, but it's also, I have it for obviously, the pumping and resetting it so we can just play more cards. It's like another version of Good Impressions, essentially, or Male Bonding. Contestant for mainstream, great at 4 of. Passing Torch, 4 of, instant, great. And my low zone foundations were things where things got pretty difficult. So since I was also testing, obviously, with the new card still, this is a 2 of because it's a low block and helps me get out of deadlock if need be. And then 2 Male Bonding and 2 Manly Passionate Guy. I love both these cards. I have 4 of my beautiful RLE version that I got on the day at Pasadena, ya boy. And so this card I was looking at, especially ever since it was revealed. I think it's a really cool card, especially for Tetsu, which I'm sighted into. It works incredible with him. But this takes the place, to me, at least, of Manly Passionate Guy. So I put 2-2, and I was going to test it. And I put the other 2 in my side deck. I don't have them up here. But that's what I did for this. And honestly, as someone like this, in this very aggro meta so far, as now, no bans have been hit, no cards have been hit on the ban list for set 3 of My Hero Academia. So Bird, Asui, and Kirishima are probably still the 3 top dogs. And so because of that, as well Ojiro too, which gave me some trouble, I would probably take out my 2 Manly Passionate Guys and put in the 2 extra Male Bonding, so 4 of it, because people are slinging attacks immediately turn 2 right away. And so the fact that you can get 2 of these on your first turn basically says to them, if you can't kill me this turn, which you probably won't be able to unless you're Bird or Asui, I will have enough resources to probably kill you on the backswing. And that could just happen. And so that's why going forward, I would probably just take out this altogether and just for Male Bonding. This card is incredible. If we get back to a slower metagame with Momo and like Eraserhead ruling the meta, I could definitely see Manly Passionate Guy coming back because it is a lot more of a slower, I'm holding my blocks in order to defend. But with aggro being the dominant strategy right now, Male Bonding is definitely the go-to card. And this is also where things got difficult. 3 1 with nature and 3 specialists. I knew, obviously, I need some specialists simply because I need to be defensive somewhat. I'm at Midoriya 1 or Eraserhead or Momo where I have just easy access to speed negation, so I need to play some of these. I didn't want to pump the full 4 of because I wanted to use 1 with nature. Again, this is experimenting with set 3 cards, essentially. Our first big event. So that's why I went with 3. This card saved my life, was amazing, perfect card, love it. 3 is probably like one of the more magic numbers for this deck, for this aggro deck. As well as saved my life by checking or letting me see the attacks I was going to check next. And 1 with nature. This card, you'd think would just be an instant 4 of, but I also kind of hate it. Simply for the fact is, it feels just like a very kind of plain, boring damage boost that just sits there on my board most of the time. As well, it's another discard, which I like to discard just only off Midoriya because I like to just press the button constantly, essentially. And while this card is also good for letting stuff hit, especially for like say your last attack, and you have an extra card in hand, you do this, you essentially give it 2 speed. And it's beautiful. It's a very beautiful card. That's why I only want it at 3, because honestly, if I just have 1 on board, I'm pretty happy, because then all of a sudden, for Midoriya's discard, I am giving Texas stats and a little bit better, because I'm giving 1 speed and 4 damage. That's why I really... And so, if I could... Oh, my bad, there. If I could, I would honestly just want, like, 2 of this in the deck, because I only really ever want 2 on my board. But I can live with 1. 2 is pretty perfect, and any more than that is just, like, icing on top of the cake, but the good icing. That's, like, creamy and good, not fake and plastic. Anyways, that's it for the like new deck list I played at the event. We won't really talk about the side. The only notable things was I played for that. I like this card. I could not tell you why. I don't think this card's very good, but I really like it, and I did use it. I thought it was interesting. I don't think it's a bad card by any means, but this is just like my little flavor and the good symbol action cards I really love. Anyways, overall for my matchups, I don't remember all of them. I played Akiri 2. I won that matchup, and like I said, the Denki 1 game, whatever match that was pretty close. Came down to the check. Screw you, new training method. And so, and that was, because he's 7-hander, it is pretty easy because he has to really worry about everything. He was playing under air, so his small numbers were doing bits for him. As well, Ojiro 2 was my main hard matchup to beat. Simply because he was given free stats and stuff, which is, fine, whatever, but it was just really difficult to deal with him, especially since he would pick up another attack and do that. That was my rough matchup, because I played 2 Ojiro 2s, and both matches I took it to game 3 for both those matches, but I still lost barely, just simply because the 3-3 on his last move was just too much and I couldn't handle it. But as well, in those matchups, like I'm saying, male bonding just does bits. It furthers my stage so much. Love it. This is one of my new favorite cards, honestly. But those were the tough matchups. As well, Asui was really difficult. That makes sense. The Kirishima 2, I only faced 1. I like that matchup because it just feels like I'm facing a different version of me, essentially. All My 3 I had to face. He was difficult, but that's because I haven't faced an All My 3 in like a hot minute. And he was like a better version of me, it felt like. That was also like my second game, so I was still kind of like getting like warming back up, especially since for me here in California, it's like 7 o'clock the time we have to get up, so I'm still like warming up and I need a cup of coffee. So those are my rough matchups. Honestly, my hardest one, at least to me, besides like aggro 700 Asui, is Ojiro 2. And it's kind of cool that he's good and whatever. But at the same time, I do need to work on that. But I was able to win a few games from him. So that's my only thing. Those are my precedents. I don't say nerf Kirishima at all. I say nerf the bird and Asui. That's just me. And potentially Ojiro 2. But at the same time, I don't think he's too OP. So that was my rundown of like what happened and how I feel about my deck list and whatever. I've already basically done the changes. I'm going to take out this, take out that, and then what I will do when we get the DLC is probably place this. Replace, like I said, I'll put the Pono Punches in the side. I'm going to replace it with these 2 adorable telepaths. Same block mod essentially, because this becomes a 2-mid, because it gives the attack -1 speed, so it becomes a 2 high block essentially. As well, this is more spam. I'm thinking I might take out the small numbers for the Midoriya 0 diff, simply because we are running 2 checks. We do kind of need as much spam as possible. As well, in the top decks, I did my research and saw them. They're running like 10 0 diffs to guarantee that 4 ability, which I do think makes sense, and that's why I'm considering taking that out. As well, it gives me more speed negation, so I can maybe take out the specials and put another one with nature, or whatever. Sky's the limit. But this is going to be the new inclusion once we get DLC. I love this card. This basically says we always have a high block in our stage. You don't really need to worry about holding your small numbers or these. You can just build them, as long as you have this on board, obviously. As well, this can trigger your small numbers if I do decide to keep them. So this is my new really exciting card that I can't wait to see and include in my deck. Anyways, that has been it so far. You consider this, I don't know what I'll call this. I'll call this a deck profile, as well my results from the Nats or something. I don't know. But this is it. I'm loving this deck. The 2-check changed a whole lot, but at the same time, makes things really spicy and fun. You never know when you're going to just die because of it, or you never know when you're going to win because of it, because you just played 4 attacks. But that's it. For future reference as well, I'm probably going to never play Tetsu in my side deck ever again, because it's very annoying destroying my own stage, even with small number and that. At least that's me. At least that's me. But anyways, I'm gonna end it there. This is my deck list, deck profile, my experience, my results. I don't know what place I got. Maybe I'll look it up. That's all. See you guys next time. Hopefully, once we get DLC and other event, like more big events start to pop up, I'll do another profile as well. I'm gonna work on some other decks because I'm getting a little tired of Deku 2. But until then, see you next time. Please subscribe. God bless your day, and have a good one.